Okay, what I said a bit a while ago was welcome, and to the folks at home on Zoom, hi, welcome to you all too. I have a very special place in my heart for surrogate fathers and surrogate mothers. They are the people who step up, and every opportunity that I have to do a service, whether it's a Father's Day service or a Mother's Day service, I make it a point to welcome especially and thank the surrogate moms and dads, those single moms and dads who, just from personal experience, I know that's a tough road to hoe. So thanks to that. My name is José Antonio Contreras. I am joined today by fellow poets, Stephen Botts, Irene Keller, Stuart Mills, and Mary Powell. We hope that by sharing reflections as poets and storytellers, that by sharing reflections of experiences that we had with our parents, with our dads, that it'll help stimulate those that you have about yours. So welcome to today's service. So we begin by lighting this chalice, and the whole idea is to prepare ourselves to be thinking about our own experiences with our dads. All of those mercies that they gave us, they showed us. Little mercies, big mercies. What kind of mercies? Well, I'll give you a clue. To begin with, Dad taught us how to light a match and turn a screwdriver and change a light bulb and feed a dog. Dad taught us to make change, how to balance our checkbook maybe, how to drive, although he didn't particularly care about that one. Dad taught us to be charitable, to seek justice. Dad taught us to care about the planet. So the warmth of this flame is to remind us of those really special, warm interactions with Dad that we wish we could hold on to forever. And when it gets too hot and that reflection is too close, to let it go in case that experience wasn't all that great. So we are going to begin. Let's recall our dads and celebrate and give thanks for those mercies, beginning with Steve Botts.
Before I get into my poem, I'd like to tell you a little about my dad and our relationship. Basically, we were two practicing introverts, so sometimes our communication was a little awkward. Dad never told me he loved me or patted me on the back or hugged me or anything like that, but he showed his love in different ways. Now, for example, he didn't teach me to read, but he read the Sunday comics to me. He would read the words, and I'd look at the pictures, and together we shared the adventures of Dick Tracy, Little Orphan Annie, and Mandrake the Magician. So that kept up until I was old enough to read the funnies for myself. And today, I still read the Sunday comics faithfully. Now, at the point where I was pretty much mastered the comic pages, he gave me a copy of Tom Sawyer, and I would read it to him and my mother until he told me that I could do this silently. I could read it myself. It hurt my feelings a little that he didn't want to hear me read, but still I found that I could read silently, and that was a discovery. I didn't know I could do that. Now, my dad would enlist me in fixing just about everything around the house that needed to be fixed. Sometimes it would have been easier if he'd done it all himself. And I didn't realize till years later that he was doing this because he wanted me to learn what he knew. In fact, one of our major projects was overhauling the engine of the family car, a 1952 Studebaker. We got into it, and I did a lot of the work under his supervision, and I learned quite a lot about the way internal combustion engines work. Now my dad liked to keep busy, but sometimes he would fall into deep, dark depressions. He would come home from work and he would sit there in the car just looking out the windshield at nothing. I said my dad sometimes fell into deep, dark depressions. He would sit in the car just looking through the windshield at nothing, no radio playing or anything. He'd just sit there. And then after about half an hour, he'd come into the house and sit down at the table for supper and nibble a little bit at the food. And then he'd go into the bedroom and lie on the bed and just look up, staring at the ceiling, sometimes for hours. But the next day, he'd get up and go to work. That didn't happen very often, but it happened every once in a while. I worried about him, but he never complained or tried to explain the way he felt, and I didn't ask him questions. So my last conversation with him, just shortly before he died, was about his experience raising chickens on the farm. Again, nothing personal about the way we felt toward each other or our beliefs or anything like that. So this is the experience from which comes this poem, which is My Father's Ghost. I met my dad's ghost in the hallway last night on the way to the bathroom. His face mirrored mine in the gloom, so much I wanted to tell him and ask. But the time for such talk was long gone. We smiled, then shrugged, and walked through each other again.
Shortly before my father passed, he told me why he loved the photo of the painting in front of you. He also said to me, I was only a mailman. I was shocked and saddened by his self-perspective. And at the time, I responded to him with positive comments of memories of what I had about his days as a mail carrier. After his death, I wrote this poetic eulogy that relates to the painting. Remembering an unassuming American symbol. Nestled against a wooden wall and a sturdy leg of a faded blue U.S. mailbox lay a sandy-colored dog with one eye closed while the other watched for his walking partner, my father, to step off a city bus. After bus fumes dissipated, my dad adjusted his heavy, full mail bag strapped over his shoulder, followed with his hands moving with affection across the back of his now alert friend Max, who anticipated his usual treat from his partner's shirt pocket. Then the daily trek of my father and Max began. The two walked their usual route, with my dad's whistle tunes vibrating off whitewashed houses, while Max happily kept up with his companion's long stride. House by house, the two delivered awaiting letters, and sometimes an isolated housewife, glad to break her enduring aloneness, brought my sister's letter today, as she handed Dad a glass of iced tea and a breakfast left over for shy Max. Lunch, always in the local park, where salami sandwiches were shared, and a quick rest before onward and then back to the washed-out domed box, where my dad's sweaty arm reached into the blue dark cave to bring forth handfuls of mail that filled his now empty mailbag. Before my dad stepped into the city bus for his return trip to the office, he placed one knee to the ground to bring himself equal to his friend, then told with reassuring strokes the two would share tomorrow. The once American icon of an unassuming letter carrier and a beloved dog who were devoted to one another and to the miles required to walk, to provide the daily virtual service of bringing written communication to individuals has grown silent. But the framed painting of a sandy-colored dog settled next to a street mailbox is a reminder of the importance of men like my father, who made a career of delivering indispensable communication, sealed in envelopes to be opened, to be read, so human relations could survive.
This first short poem is based on something that occurred on the very first Earth Day. I was standing with my friend Dan Evans, who was holding his 5-month-old son, and all of a sudden, Woody just erupted in mucus. And Dan reached over and with his bare hand wiped his son's face and said, "When you become a father, you become a snot rag." And so the compassionate Buddha, if you can't reach nirvana as a snot rag, you never will, which just basically means if you can't get out of your selfhood, you can never get out of the world of duality. A father's journey. When I becomes he, when here becomes there, foul is not foul, nor is foul fair. Memorabilia. My father died when I was 5. My memories of him are of a man absolute authority, inflexible in honor, prescriptive in expectations, quick in temper, swift in judgment, severe in penalty. His right hand held the book of law, while his left foot crushed the scrolls of inspiration. As a child, the Old Testament Jehovah made perfect sense to me. Once, when I was going on 4, I returned home with my father to find my mother, sister, and brother gone. It's the only time I recall being alone with him at the house. I became anxious. What if I accidentally broke one of the myriad rules, many of which had never been verbalized but stood to reason? What if I inadvertently uttered back talk? No mother there to intercede on my behalf, no siblings there to divert his attention from me. He told me to sit on the front step and disappeared into the house, shortly returning with a bowl of liquid and a tobacco pipe. The liquid looked unappetizing, and I was afraid that I would have to eat it all. He made me dip the large end of the pipe into the liquid and gently blow into the small end. And no wonder the sky was filled with bubbles, beautiful bubbles, sparkling bubbles, joyous bubbles, bubbles of colors for which I had no names, single bubbles, double bubbles, families of bubbles, dancing, swirling, reeling bubbles, bubbles that have lasted for more than 70 years.
It's beautiful.
If not through yet. If ever I'm asked to offer a prayer, I celebrate my one joyous paternal memory by reciting these 4 lines of poetry by Percy Shelley. Worlds on worlds are rolling ever, from creation to decay, like the bubbles on a river, sparkling, bursting, borne away.
So when Jose invited me to offer some thoughts on Father's Day, I readily accepted. I had written something a few months back, capturing an experience my father and I had shared, and I knew that would work. But then I decided to write another piece to try and round out the personality of this man. And it was more complicated than I had thought. But I have two pieces to read today. In the first, I'll introduce you to my father as best I can. And in the second, I'll share a gift he gave me. This is titled, A Man of His Time. My father, born at the century's turn, was a salesman with lofty intentions, a large man with ideas to match. In a starched white shirt, he set out each day to set the world on fire. And in the evenings, he returned, deflated or elated, but always with a story to tell. You could say his reach exceeded his grasp. You could say, if you needed to pass judgment, that he had feet of clay. He would deny neither charge. He honored his wife, his daughters, and his friends. He had a penchant for rich food, strong drink, betting on the races, pretty faces, investing in the stock market, and telling jokes that made grown men laugh and ladies blush. These he held in high esteem. The Masonic Lodge, words well written, serious conversations, good manners, and the Republican Party. Whoever he was, whatever the contradictions, no matter the failings, he offered true devotion. And whenever I think of him, I cannot help but smile. And the second poem is titled, The Gift. When my father first invited a dance, my eyes barely reached his belt line, and my white stockinged feet stretched tiptoe atop his shiny black Oxfords. I was ready to bounce away. Wait, he cautioned. First we sway, and sway we did, to a big band playing on the old box radio. Over the years, he taught me to listen until my feet could hear the beat, to stand tall, inclining toward him, mirroring arms, shoulders, and hips. He broke the dance into pieces, into tiny bites of something so rich, I would savor it for the rest of my days. When slowly he stepped out, his arms and body guided me, anticipating the pattern, embracing the rhythm, and when I tried to push ahead, he whispered this reminder. A lady never leads, he told me. You always follow your partner. He taught me what seemed right to him, something a daughter should know, never imagining the world to come, the challenges that lay ahead, dances without partners, music without melody, partners gone astray, ladies leading. I've danced across a lifetime since, tapping on stages, waltzing with bows, folk dances, Latin, the monkey, the foxtrot, partnered and alone, following and leading. I've celebrated weddings, full moons, birthdays, and rain, filled with the compelling joy of moving to the beat, recalling the wonder of his feet beneath mine, praising whatever gods may be for this precious gift.
I decided I would share a couple of poems with you from a collection of things I have called Conversations with Dad. And the first of these took place in a car. Hey, Dad, what if there was no hell? ¿Qué, mijo? What if there was no hell? No sin? No, mijo. There must be sin. There must be a hell. If there's not, then there'd be no heaven. No, without the devil, mijo, you must have evil to have good. Good and evil. No, mijo. Showing daily. Dad, why is it that when I try to see you, I am only able to invoke sharp images of your hands, their shape, color, size, and texture? But when I try and see your face, I can only vaguely conjure it. Mind's eye recalls your face, but only when frozen in photos or in the caricature on your business card. But it never captures the you of you. And yet, Dad, I'm somehow able sometimes to hear your face, release a broad, hearty laugh, to sometimes feel your left eyebrow raised in question, to sometimes taste your joy in an ice-cold beer. But why can I fully see only your hands? Why, I ask myself as I type these words, then suddenly see as I do every day, those hands, your hands, mine. Thank you for this service. Thank you for the opportunity to share words and memories. Thank you for the presence of everyone here.